Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to unlocking endless opportunities for professional growth and success. GSDC is an independent, vendor-neutral, international credentialing and certification organization for professionals. For over 5 years, we have certified the skills of over 100,000 professionals across EMEA, LATAM, APAC, and North America regions. We offer certification in learning and development, human resources, quality assurance, ISO and Six Sigma, emerging technologies, DevOps, SRE, Agile and Scrum, project management. GSDC is proudly accredited with ANSI and ABICB. We have global presence with offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore, and a strong network of over 50 global accredited training organizations.
But how do these certifications contribute to your career growth? GSDC certifications are globally recognized and trusted by many multinational organizations. Our certifications validate your skills and demonstrate your commitment to professional development. GSDC is collaborating with 500 plus SMEs, advisors, and global experts to curate and share best practices with individuals. We validate those skills via experts' curated certification exams. Additionally to that, we also regularly conduct webinars, knowledge sharing sessions, and various complementary learning initiatives to keep learners updated on the best practices and fortify their knowledge. By validating skills, GSDC is addressing the challenges faced by professionals in today's competitive landscape. We bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical expertise, ensuring that individuals are equipped to succeed in their chosen fields. Visit our website to know more about GSDC.
Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to unlocking endless opportunities for professional growth and success. GSDC is an independent, vendor-neutral, international credentialing and certification organization for professionals. For over 5 years, we have certified the skills of over 100,000 professionals across EMEA, LATAM, APAC, and North America regions. We offer certification in learning and development, human resources, quality assurance, ISO and Six Sigma, emerging technologies, DevOps, SRE, Agile and Scrum, project management. GSDC is proudly accredited with ANSI and ABICB. We have global presence with offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore, and a strong network of over 50 global accredited training organizations.
But how do these certifications contribute to your career growth? GSDC certifications are globally recognized and trusted by many multinational organizations. Our certifications validate your skills and demonstrate your commitment to professional development. GSDC is collaborating with 500 plus SMEs, advisors, and global experts to curate and share best practices with individuals. We validate those skills via experts' curated certification exams. Additionally to that, we also regularly conduct webinars, knowledge sharing sessions, and various complementary learning initiatives to keep learners updated on the best practices and fortify their knowledge. By validating skills, GSDC is addressing the challenges faced by professionals in today's competitive landscape. We bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical expertise, ensuring that individuals are equipped to succeed in their chosen fields. Visit our website to know more about GSDC.
Thank you each and every one of you for joining in. We will be starting the session shortly. In the meanwhile, please enjoy the short intro video which has been created by Generative AI technology. Thank you so much.
Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to unlocking endless opportunities for professional growth and success. GSDC is an independent, vendor-neutral, international credentialing and certification organization for professionals. For over 5 years, we have certified the skills of over 100,000 professionals across EMEA, LATAM, APAC and North America regions. We offer certification in learning and development, human resources, quality assurance, ISO and Six Sigma, emerging technologies, DevOps, SRE, Agile and Scrum, project management. GSDC is proudly accredited with ANSI and ABICB. We have global presence with offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore and a strong network of over 50 global accredited training organizations.
But how do these certifications contribute to your career growth? GSDC certifications are globally recognized and trusted by many multinational organizations. Our certifications validate your skills and demonstrate your commitment to professional development. GSDC is collaborating with 500 plus SMEs, advisors, and global experts to curate and share best practices with individuals. We validate those skills via experts' curated certification exams. Additionally to that, we also regularly conduct webinars, knowledge-sharing sessions, and various complementary learning initiatives to keep learners updated on the best practices and fortify their knowledge. By validating skills, GSDC is addressing the challenges faced by professionals in today's competitive landscape. We bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical expertise, ensuring that individuals are equipped to succeed in their chosen fields. Visit our website to know more about GSDC.
Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to unlocking endless opportunities for professional growth and success. GSDC is an independent, vendor-neutral, international credentialing and certification organization for professionals. For over 5 years, we have certified the skills of over 100,000 professionals across EMEA, LATAM, APAC and North America regions. We offer certification in learning and development, human resources, quality assurance, ISO and Six Sigma, emerging technologies, DevOps, SRE, Agile and Scrum, project management. GSDC is proudly accredited with ANSI and ABICB. We have global presence with offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore and a strong network of over 50 global accredited training organizations.
But how do these certifications contribute to your career growth? GSDC certifications are globally recognized and trusted by many multinational organizations. Our certifications validate your skills and demonstrate your commitment to professional development. GSDC is collaborating with 500 plus SMEs, advisors, and global experts to curate and share best practices with individuals. We validate those skills via experts' curated certification exams. Additionally to that, we also regularly conduct webinars, knowledge-sharing sessions, and various complementary learning initiatives to keep learners updated on the best practices and fortify their knowledge. By validating skills, GSDC is addressing the challenges faced by professionals in today's competitive landscape. We bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical expertise, ensuring that individuals are equipped to succeed in their chosen fields. Visit our website to know more about GSDC.
Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to unlocking endless opportunities for professional growth and success. GSDC is an independent, vendor-neutral, international credentialing and certification organization for professionals. For over 5 years, we have certified the skills of over 100,000 professionals across EMEA, LATAM, APAC and North America regions. We offer certification in learning and development, human resources, quality assurance, ISO and Six Sigma, emerging technologies, DevOps, SRE, Agile and Scrum, project management. GSDC is proudly accredited with ANSI and ABICB. We have global presence with offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore, and a strong network of over 50 global accredited training organizations.
But how do these certifications contribute to your career growth? GSDC certifications are globally recognized and trusted by many multinational organizations. Our certifications validate your skills and demonstrate your commitment to professional
Thank you so much,
development.
every one of you, for joining in. We will be starting the session within 2 minutes. I see a lot of participants joining in, so we'll start within next 2 minutes. Thank you so much.
GSDC is collaborating with 500 plus SMEs, advisors, and global experts to curate and share best practices with individuals. We validate those skills via experts' curated certification exams. Additionally to that, we also regularly conduct webinars, knowledge sharing sessions, and various complementary learning initiatives to keep learners updated on the best practices and fortify their knowledge. By validating skills, GSDC is addressing the challenges faced by professionals in today's competitive landscape. We bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical expertise, ensuring that individuals are equipped to succeed in their chosen fields. Visit our website to know more about GSDC.
Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to unlocking endless opportunities for professional growth and success. GSDC is an independent, vendor-neutral, international credentialing and certification organization for professionals. For over 5 years, we have certified the skills of over 100,000 professionals across EMEA, LATAM, APAC, and North America regions. We offer certification in learning and development, human resources, quality assurance, ISO and Six Sigma, emerging technologies, DevOps, SRE, Agile and Scrum, project management. GSDC is proudly accredited with ANSI and ABICB. We have global presence with offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore, and a strong network of over 50 global accredited training organizations.
But how do these certifications contribute to your career growth? GSDC certifications are globally recognized and trusted by many
Thank you, each and every one of you, for joining in. Without delaying it any further, we'll start with the session. Let me quickly share my screen. I hope each and every one of you can see my screen. So hello, everyone. And once again, thank you so much for joining the session today. Welcome to GSDC Global Generative AI Webinar 2023. My name is Leki Dema. I am one of the learning advisor with GSDC, and I'll be the host for the evening today. So this will be a 2-day event, a 2-day webinar. Today will be the first day of the webinar. The topic for today's session would be revolutionizing with Gen AI, and for tomorrow's session we have a panel discussion which would be held by 4 of our other panelists. Just a quick sneak peek to for tomorrow's session. These are the 4 of our other panelists who will be hosting the session for tomorrow. So each and every one of you who has already joined the session today, feel free to join use the same link to join the session tomorrow as well. And before I proceed any further, I would also like to let you know that we will be also going live on all of our social media platforms, such as Facebook, LinkedIn. The links would be provided on the chat box below. So feel free to share the link to your network, to your friends and family, for to your friends and family. Moving ahead, before we proceed ahead with today's event, I would like to take this opportunity to quickly introduce you to our organization, GSDC, also known as Global Skill Development Council. We are an international vendor neutral certification company. We have more than 100 plus, portfolios in our platform currently. And we do make sure to keep on adding and upgrading new programs and portfolios as per the market needs. And we are also very proud to let you know that we have, till date, we have certified more than 90,000 plus professionals globally. We are also very proud to let you know that we have now partnered with 100 plus training organization, and I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our authorized training partner who have joined the event today and who has provided all the help and support for this campaign for the event today. A quick shout out to our official media partner as well. Thank you so much for putting in all the effort and providing us all the support. A quick shout out to our official media partner, World Press Hub. Thank you so much. Just a quick overview about GSDC portfolios. These are the current portfolios which are present in our platform currently. If any one of you is interested to know more about any of the program which is displayed over in the which is displayed currently, feel free to visit our website. The links would be provided on the chat box. I also have two more colleagues who would be in the session with me today, Setalu and Aaron, who will be available in the chat box throughout the session. So if any one of you have any questions, feel free to use the chat box below. I'm also we also wanted to announce the new certification launch about generative AI professional. We have recently launched the new certification for generative AI. If any one of you is interested to know more about the certification, I'm also very happy to let you know that for all the participants who have joined the session today, we will be giving out the certification for 75% discount. So that's a very good news. If you would like to know more about the certification, again, all the details would be given in the chat box. Our GSDC certification also comes with a lifelong membership, which means that everyone who holds the GSDC certificate gets the free access to all of our global events, such as our workshop, boot camps, and you'll also get a free access to downloadable self-paced learning material. One of the very unique features about the lifelong membership would be the complimentary upgradation to the certificate. Again, I would like to take this opportunity to quickly thank our proud partners for all the support and for putting in such a great effort to make this event a success. So a very big shout out to each and every one of you who are present in the screen. Before we, I would also like to let you know that after the presentation is over, we will also be conducting a very quick and a fun gamification round towards the end, once the presentation and the Q&A session is over. So I would request each and every one of you to stay tuned towards till the end of the session, because a lucky winner, we will have around 2 to 3 lucky winner who will be entitled to get worth $400 GSDC generative AI certification. So requesting each and every one of you to stay with us till the end of the session. Now, without delaying it any further, I would like to introduce you to the keynote speaker for the day. He is also one of the, he is a fellow at Real Network. He guided the technology strategy that pivoted Real Networks from its streaming media roots to becoming a leader in AI. He has also earned a technical Oscar and Emmy awards for his new and innovative ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome to you our keynote speaker for the day, Reza Rasool. Reza, before I give you the virtual platform, I would like to let each and every one of you know that once the presentation is over, we will be conducting a 15 minutes Q&A session. So every questions or any questions that you might have, feel free to use the chat box. Thank you so much. Over to you, Reza.
Great, thank you very much. Good morning. Well, it's good morning in Los Angeles at 6:30 for me. It's evening time for you. Thank you all for coming to join this webinar. I'm going to share my screen and start the presentation. So GSDC, Global Skill Development Council, kindly asked me to come and talk and gave me the title Revolutionizing with Gen AI. Well, I'm going to try and make the content that follows stand up to the title, but maybe my interpretation of the title is somewhat different. So the agenda is going to follow a broad definition of AI, how AI has affected various industries, but a very personal product journey that I've made through AI over my long career. Then we'll delve into what is generative AI and how will its effect be revolutionary. What does that mean for skill development? And more importantly, how can you prepare? So let's go to this broad definition of artificial intelligence. It's this definition about computer systems being able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence is much broader than the current definition, which talks about machine learning, deep neural networks, and so on. I prefer this broader definition because throughout my career, we had this notion that we were using computers to amplify, to accelerate, to augment the capabilities of humans. And I think it's a more expansive definition, and it allows for interpretations or implementations of artificial intelligence that are not just based on today's deep neural networks. So how has AI affected various jobs? And so here I'm going to just give a few examples of where a technical advance has replaced manual labor. And this is by no means complete, but it's examples of what happened. You might recall, and many of you on the screen look too young to be able to recall, the days before the word processor. What did businesses look like? They typically had a typing pool of people that were able to type letters. Your process for getting a letter authored or getting a letter sent required you to request someone from the typing pool to come to you. You would either dictate to them or you'd have a draft. There'd be a process of translation which involved shorthand. And then the typist would type up your letter. Maybe by the end of the day, you'd get the letter back, maybe the following day, and you'd make some edits to it, and maybe that cycle would repeat 1 or 2 times, and then your letter was fit to send. So now your letter's ready to send, and you would put it in a folder ready for outgoing mail, and it'll probably go out the following day, and it will go out with the mailroom. Well, so the word processor in combination with email eliminated both those departments from companies, the typing pool and the mailroom. And we can see other advances, there used to be repro graphics departments in many large corporations. Desktop video has replaced that. And even the switchboard, which was an extra function inside corporations, that seems to have gone. Voice over IP has eliminated that. So what is the takeaway from this? Do we lament the loss of those careers, those jobs, those functions, those jobs, that employment? Do we lament the loss of the typing pool? You know, that was one of the staple forms of employment that you were reasonably guaranteed. If you had a good typing skills, you know, 100 words per minute, you'd get employment. Now that is, you'll never find in a newspaper a commercial, an ad for a copy typist or an audio typist. Those jobs have just gone and they're never coming back. Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to even find a newspaper, I guess. Okay, so now what do we instead do? Do we lament their loss, or do we celebrate the efficiencies gained? What was gained? Well, that ability to get a message out faster. You definitely, if I want to now get a message out, I type it myself into an email client and press send, and off it flies. If I want to augment that with video, wow, every computer, every laptop has got an ability to record video, and you've got a fairly basic editor, but you can top and tail the video, maybe cut and assemble what you need to augment your message, and that message goes out. Well, I hardly use the phone now. Well, it's more of a small computer in my pocket that can run apps. I can't remember the last time I actually used it as a phone. So look, these things accelerate, and I want to talk about my personal journey through this series of technical advances, but focusing specifically on AI and using that more expansive definition of AI. I'm going to include in there audio and image processing, because those are the things that humans are good at, but we want computers to do as well. The journey went through genetic algorithms. This is a class of AI that is now no longer pursued, but it was a very serious area. You've all heard of expert systems. But then the transition came to creating algorithms that were purely based on data rather than on the processing or the computational recipe of an algorithm. Instead, it was based on data. And the thesis is that if you have historical data of how problems are solved, you can train a model, and that model is able to be posed a new problem and come up with a new solution. And that seems to be working reasonably well. AI took a leap forward with generative AI. It existed before, but in November of last year, ChatGPT brought it to public attention, and there's a tremendous promise that it offers, but also with some dangers that we'll talk about. And so we reach the point where we are now. Where will AI go in the future? Well, we're going to talk about that future path. I have a particular view of where it will go, and we can cover that in subsequent slides. So, well, first of all, image retouch, page composition, and movie editing. When I was a youngster, I worked for a company called Crossfield Electronics that John Crossfield actually invented the digital scanner in 1940. And that was the start of the conversion from analog or sort of paper representations of images to a digital form of an image. And newspaper printing and magazine printing was still at that point a very labor-intensive process of cutting and pasting. There was a job of page composition, and there were many page compositors that their job was to assemble the components of a magazine cover or a brochure, and used lots of physical analog techniques to do that. What I was working on at Crossfield was the computer version of that, and that it was another step in disrupting an industry and replacing laborious human labor with an automation. And from digital pre-press electronics, I moved to a small startup. I guess the term startup wasn't even coined at that time. The company was called Lightworks. There was a few colleagues in London, and we had this idea that you'd be able to edit a full-length feature film on a computer. This was in the early 90s. Lo and behold, that product idea, when we brought it to market, resonated well in the town that I live in now, in Los Angeles. So based on the strength of that product, the product itself won a technical Oscar and technical Emmy award. I didn't win it personally, it was the product that won it. I moved my family from London to Los Angeles and continued a career of innovation with AI as the theme throughout it. The dabbling in genetic algorithms was nothing to do with digital video or digital audio, but I did, it was for a company called Pioneer Hybrid, and it turns out that you can use AI to optimize decisions and plans. And the way that genetic algorithms works is a very different way, different approach to AI that compared to the existing data-driven method. It creates a population of algorithms and then competes against each other. They compete against each other and try and achieve a fitness function. There is a fitness function that allows you to score these algorithms' output, and you set a threshold. Those that achieve a score above the threshold have the capability of reproducing in the next generation. So it's trying to use sort of evolutionary techniques to pick a set of solutions, a set of algorithms that achieve a fitness score. And then you repeat the cycle. And iteratively, you end up with an algorithm that is the most fit. Well, that method was prone to getting locally optimal solutions, but sometimes missed the globally optimal solution, and you get a solution being trapped in a valley, a local valley, and you're never able to get out. And that fell out of fashion because it never competed against expert systems. And an expert system is one where you take the knowledge of a domain expert and you convert that into some sort of algorithmic capability. One of the implementations of that was music gaming. I joined a startup, CTO of a company called Zaya, and it turns out, though, that Zaya was one of the first generative AI solutions before the term generative AI was coined. The idea was that you'd be able to hum in a simple melody into an app and you'd get a fully orchestrated pop song coming back at you. And you will have selected the genre and a few other controls. And by changing those controls, you'd get a different pop song coming out. So this was a fun game. The company was sold to Google. This was actually turned out to be the second exit. Prior to that, I was one of the founders of a company called Widevine Technologies that was also sold to Google. So we move along. I then joined Real Networks, and Context is an example of an AI used for classification. This is looking at SMS messages in a mobile network. Billions are flying past as we're routing SMS messages between mobile operators, but Context sits in the middle of those networks and sees all the SMS messages in clear text. So that's a very important mission critical location. And on top of that, we built AI. And the AI was looking at the text messages and classifying them, and specifically looking for spam, and looking also for what are called smishing attacks. This is malicious text messages that include some inducement to go to a bad actor's site. And we used AI to do that, and it was extremely successful. So a model that is being retrained frequently to keep up with all the strategies of bad actors was able to keep the mobile networks reasonably clean of malicious SMS. And at the same company, at Real Networks, I also created or initiated a face analytics program, a computer vision program in the SAFER division. And that was a full stack of face detection, face recognition, age, gender, sentiment analysis, mask detection, and a whole raft of solutions, all based on deep neural networks and the modern paradigm of AI. And we paid specific attention to making sure that we achieved a low bias score. And that isn't something that you achieve by accident. You have to be very deliberate about it right up at the front when you're curating your training data. It was the first, but well, both Context and SAFER were important lessons in how ethics needs to be part of AI engineering. And in fact, I wrote several papers and talked quite widely on how to engineer ethics into AI. This was important, and when NIST ran a bake-off for face recognition algorithms in 2019, SAFER actually scored the lowest bias compared to 103 AI algorithms. So we're at the point now, generative AI was released. I'm going to talk more about that in subsequent slides, but I have a thesis on where we could go in the future. Here's some of the things that current AI is really bad at. Concurrent learning and thinking, what does that mean? Well, the training part of AI is done in one instance, typically a very, very large compute-intensive instance, and it requires millions and millions of samples before your model converges and you have a publishable model. Then the model gets published, and it's an array of weights, and that is the model. But the model runs in a separate instance, and that process is called inference. But that's not how the human brain works. This 2-pound computer that we all carry about with us is capable of learning and thinking concurrently. And we train on much less data. If you look at an infant learns to recognize faces on very few samples. An infant learns language very quickly on fewer samples than it takes a computer to learn language. So we can do better. I think we can. And my hunch is that the fault lies in the thing called the perceptron. This is the fundamental component of the neural network, designed in 1940, probably at the same time John Crossfield was designing his digital scanner. And well, that's funny. My alarm's going off, telling me to wake up. It's my 7 o'clock alarm. Okay, so concurrent learning and thinking is a goal that we want to achieve. And it could be by rethinking the perceptron. I think it's due for an overhaul, and I've got some ideas of where it can go. Interestingly, Geoffrey Hinton hinted at a similar approach. And then the other destination, or the other goal that we hope for that AI can achieve, is the ability to reason. AI doesn't reason at the moment. AI uses pattern matching. It confuses correlation with causation. And there is a better mechanism for decision-making based on reasoning, where you understand the causal dependencies of events, not just the correlation of events. And that is what's also going on in our brains. We have the capability of reasoning, and we do it in a way superior to computers. We haven't actually developed the frameworks and the mechanisms for doing that. My hunch is that causal networks would lead us to be able to reason. More on that later. Okay, so the title's about generative AI. What is generative AI, and how is it different to the sort of AI, that face recognition AI and the text analysis AI? Well, so I draw two models here. And if you look at the classifier AI model, you'd see a fat input. It'll be taking in, let's say, an image. And the output might simply be the category of what that image is. It might be dog, cat. It might be some sort of classification. If any of you watched the comedy series Silicon Valley, one of the characters developed an AI model that could determine whether something was a hot dog or not a hot dog. So you can see classifier models have the topology of being fat on the input and thin on the output. Generative AI models are the complete reverse. They are thin on the input and fat on the output. So generative AI is this class of AI where it's designed to generate new content out of some input data. And that input data we call a prompt, and it's typically very small. In the case of ChatGPT, you type in a simple prompt, please, you typically don't say please. Okay, what were the causes of the French Revolution? And then out comes new text, a complete essay, and then you cut and paste that and submit that as your homework. That seems to be a very common use of ChatGPT. You could put in images and come out with new images. The Zaya game that I talked about, the music game, the prompt was a thin melody, maybe even a drum beat. And that was, we interpreted that, converted that into MIDI and presented that to a cloud service that then orchestrated an entire pop song, and that would come back to you in real time to the beat of the music, and you'd iterate and lay on more and more parts of your music composition as the music was playing. So it was a very engaging gamification of music composition. And that company, or the IP is now sold to Google. But I think it was way ahead of its time. And maybe that music gaming genre is yet to find a new audience. So generative AI is a step forward for us, but let's talk about how this is growing. So here is my Moore's law timeline of generative AI, and you can see that. So on the y-axis, we've got an exponential increase. We've got the y-axis. In order to represent this, we had to represent it in orders of magnitude increase. The x-axis is linear time. And you can see in both cases, in the line, the blue dotted line representing classifier models, you can see how models have grown, typically based on ResNet in the case of computer vision, on BERT in the case of text processing. You can see how they grow over time. But then on the red dotted line, you can see the growth of generative AI models, and they are astounding. They are so large, and their size itself becomes a problem. And we have to talk about that problem. That problem, it results in only a few companies being able to indulge in the creation of these large language models, maybe a half a dozen, deep-pocketed, very wealthy companies. And that stifles competition, and we really need to explore what the dangers that represents. So you ask yourself, when we're talking about dangers, well, will AI take over the world? And I find that question somewhat difficult to ponder because it's so far off in the future. My answer is probably yes, it will. Yeah, eventually. I don't think it's the real question to answer. You know, people ask, is GPT-4 a super intelligence? Well, it's pretty smart. It's it can certainly do your homework for you, and maybe with a few edits, your teacher might even accept it, or your teacher might be running their own AI model that is detecting whether the homework was AI authored. So the more probing question is there a misalignment between AI and human values? Well, I find that also a very fuzzy question, because humanity has already accepted other systems that are not aligned with our own values. Corporations themselves are super intelligent, and corporations have motivations which are not necessarily aligned with humanity. However, we've adopted them into our society, and we've developed a symbiotic relationship with corporations. We work for corporations, we accept salaries for corporations, and we put all of our energies and efforts into corporations. They make us wealthy, they make us poor. Corporations are an example of a superintelligence that we've come to tolerate, and even it's become part of the makeup of human culture. Well, okay, you can ask yourself, does it have to be super intelligent to take over? I have a joking example of wheat. Is wheat super intelligent? No, wheat's pretty dumb. but it's probably the most successful species on the planet. It actually, if you look at it from the outside, wheat's actually employing humans to cultivate and feed and spread it. So I find the question about whether AI will take over a bit theoretical and a bit sort of clickbaity. And I think there is a different question to ask. Yes, it probably will become a dominant feature, an important feature of humanity, but it won't be a takeover. It'll be more like a symbiosis. There's a simpler question to ask. Will I lose my job to AI? Well, okay, that's a now question. That's not off in some dystopian future. That is a question you can ask, and many people are troubled by it. You know, the timeline that I produced, I talked about before, the typing pool of the mailroom, of reprographics, of the switchboard, all gone through technical innovations. So the SAT scores in the United States are the means by which, or one of the factors taken into account in college admission. It's the test you take at the end of your high school career. One of the colleges, and I've got links in the deck, decided to examine their incoming cohort, their incoming students, and look at their SAT scores. And they asked the ones in the low cohort to retake the SATs, but this time with the aid of one of the, I think it was GPT-3. And lo and behold, that low scoring cohort with GPT scored higher than the high scoring cohort. So my takeaway is I won't lose my job to AI, but I could lose it to a candidate that is wielding AI to their advantage. So some jobs will become obsolete, as we saw in the previous slides, but the takeaway from this is we need to, each of us, adopt AI before our colleagues, before other candidates do that. So it becomes an imperative, and the Global Skill Development Council is probably one way in which you can get those skills. But let's step back from that. Let's think about the very nature of work. You know, work used to be our identity. What I do is who I am. That used to be how it was. Employment and trades were so stable over multiple generations. In Anglo-Saxon Britain, the last name, your surname, was given to you, I guess, for the purpose of taxation and the census that happened after the Norman conquest. They had to give people last names so they can track them because there were too many Johns, I guess. And so your last name was given to you by your occupation, because typically your occupation was handed down one generation after another. So if you were called Smith, you worked metal. If you were called Cooper, you made barrels. If you were called Fletcher, you made arrows. And there are dozens and dozens of occupation-based surnames. That wasn't peculiar to Britain. In Spain, Herrero, you're also a metal worker. Barbero, you're a barber. I think Cabrero, you're a goat herder. And then in the Indian languages, Banerjee, what's that? Is that a teacher? Gandhi turns out to be a perfume maker or a perfume vendor. And my last name, Rasul, means messenger. That was a job. That was a job, taking messages from one place to another physically. That job in that form is obsolete now, because telecommunications did away with that. Now messages can be transmitted a lot faster. In fact, I'm doing it right now. So maybe in a way, I'm still honoring my family tradition and still exercising the role that was handed down generation after generation. But now jobs are changing so rapidly, they're spinning our heads. So how do we adopt? How do we adapt? How do we explore what is our identity, what is humanity, and is it really the thing we do that makes us human? I don't have the answer for that, but I think in exploring that question will help us find what is the essential humanity, and that's the thing we should double down on. Definitely a solution is not to compete with the machine. The machine will always outrun you. And so we have to take a strategy of adopting and adapting. So how will work change? In my previous slides, I talked about, the word processor, email, desktop video, etc. The innovation that brought me from London to Los Angeles was the invention of a system that allowed you to edit a movie on a computer. And that is now kind of obvious. It is the way in which movies are edited today. It did away with the splicing of celluloid film, and it did away with all the labs that processed 35 millimeter film and the larger formats, the chemical labs that were needed in order to process film stock. And there were also other laborious, labor-intensive processes that were needed in order to go from the concept of what the story was, the essential message of the story, to the resulting movie. And when I look back at the disruption that nonlinear editing, as it was called, caused on the industry, there were numerous jobs lost. There were careers that dead-ended when digital video and digital video editing came to this town. But what it did was it democratized the way in which movies are created. Now the tools are available for everyone to use, and everyone can participate in storytelling. And it allows the creative vision to be realized by more people in an easier way. So I think that's the underlying benefit. But many of you are working in the tech space. Many of you have careers in software development. And when I gave this talk in September, this was a hot issue. Actually, no, it wasn't September, it was maybe March, down in San Diego. And the GitHub Copilot was just coming out. And it's like IntelliSense on steroids. It's IntelliSense used to be a feature in most IDEs that you could hover over a part of the source code and it would give you some insights into it. No, the copilots that are now in your integrated development environment will actually generate code for you based on the comments you type in a header. It will find bugs in your code. It will write unit tests for you. It'll document existing code. It'll help explain the function of existing code. So this is a tremendous leap forward in programming. Earlier reports claimed a 14-15% productivity improvement. That was the beginning of the year. Now that number's jumped to maybe 50%. So I'm old enough to remember when the software industry was talking about code reuse. This is code reuse realized, but in a way in which we had not anticipated when I started my career. And then imagine this where you're not typing and it's voice activated. That'll be coming soon. And I've dabbled with some of the voice activated co-pilots. They're very engaging, and they, I think, probably represent the new model. But the takeaway for this is that generative AI as a tool augmenting what you're doing today will become the new norm, the new normal that your employer will expect. And so it's very important for you to become familiar with the skills. I'm gonna hover here a bit longer. Turns out that the model Codex, which is an OpenAI model, but it was trained on GitHub repositories. Now, those repositories were largely written over a period of 10, 20 years by Linux developers. The Linux developers had almost a religious hatred of Microsoft. Well, decades later, Microsoft acquired GitHub, and so now has access to all of that source code. That's what they made available to OpenAI. That's what the Codex model was built on, and is now powering the co-pilots. There are other co-pilots as well, not just the GitHub Copilot. I urge you to experiment with them and see which ones work for you. So at this talk down in San Diego, I talked about Software 2.0. It's about this world where your development is going to be augmented by co-pilots. And I urge you to learn about co-pilots, but don't give up the pilot seat. What does that mean? More on that later on, but it's important for you to use it as a tool. It's not going to replace you unless you want it to. But product managers, in the same way that movie creatives conceived of an idea, I'm anticipating a new golden age where a product manager's concept of what software could deliver could be realized a lot faster through the use of generative AI-based software development. And so they don't have to wait multiple sprints for the product to be developed. This will happen a lot faster. So a golden age for product managers. Generative AI is actually enabled a massive leap forward. If we step back at this, we look at the way that large language models allow today's generation to stand on the shoulders of their ancestors. That seems very poetic, but what large language models do is they've trained themselves on huge repositories of human writing. Well, okay, so that's all the writing that at least is in digital form and available online for free and largely in English, but that will change. So you've now got a leap forward that may be analogous to the leap forward that humanity made when writing itself was developed. Prior to that, wisdom was handed down from one generation to another through an oral tradition. But now you could write down that history, you could write down that wisdom, and it's available for everyone to learn from. So large language models accelerate the ability for the current generation to stand on the shoulders of previous generations. And the optimist in me thinks that generative AI will raise all boats, will be a net positive for humanity. The macroeconomists would say the pie will get larger. Don't worry, jobs will be lost, but more will be created, albeit what they disparagingly call MIC jobs, low-paying jobs. So what could possibly go wrong? When we remember that Moore's law chart, we saw that large language models are getting larger and larger, and only fewer and fewer companies can dabble in the job of creating large language models. This rings warning bells for me, and it's reminiscent of the game Monopoly. There is a monopolization forming in AI, in generative AI, where only a few players can play. And as these models get larger and larger, that number gets fewer and fewer. In the game Monopoly, when one person owns all of the wealth in the game, it's game over. And we certainly don't want that. And in fact, in the game Monopoly, when that happens, the players adopt altruistic strategies that are not in the rule book in order to play for longer. And it's my assertion that we need an altruistic intervention, and I'll talk more about that later on. But we need an altruistic intervention in order for us to avoid the game over scenario. In its current form, I believe it's a threat to employment. It's playing out currently in this town, in the Hollywood strikes. But it will come for every job. Every job that it allows a model to be developed. If a model can be developed on your work output, then you've got some opportunities there. That model could augment you, or it could devalue you. And it really depends on who owns the model. If you own the model, it becomes your tools of the trade, trained on your own work output, customized and tuned and improved from one job to another, but you take it with you. If it's your tools of the trade, it'll work to improve your work performance and make you more competitive and will be a net benefit. Consider, however, if your employer owns it. If your employer owns a model trained on your own work output, so your own work output could simply be your email inbox for the last 5 years. You've now got a model trained on your work output that has got all your smarts and the way you responded to vendors, the way you responded to incoming contracts, the way you did your business. And that model represents your value, your employability. And if your employer owns that, it actually devalues you and makes you liable to being replaced by a cheaper worker using your smarts. So we should be very careful of that, and we should adopt altruistic strategies in order to avoid that occurrence. My contention is that this monopolization also is a threat to business because it stifles competition. It prevents small and medium-sized businesses from indulging in the creation of large language models. Look, there's a whole bunch of other bad attributes to rampant growth of AI. It's actually a threat to the climate. AI has an awful carbon footprint, and we can do better. So in between leaving real networks and joining Business Wire, there was a 2-week period, and I didn't get my honey-do list done. Instead, I formed an international developer community called Kwai, Kwaai. And the mission of Kwai is to democratize AI. It's not just a simple blog posting, moaning about the states and the risky path that AI is going on. It's a practical, altruistic intervention to help counteract the monopolization of AI. What AI needs is the Linux of AI. For those of you that are old enough to remember the condition of the server operating system market prior to Linux, there was a monopoly. A few companies controlled the server operating space, Microsoft being one with Windows NT, and there were a few other proprietary Unix operating systems. And along comes Linux, a volunteer-based developer organization based on open source. And now Linux is the dominant server operating system, far better than its predecessors. Not that it's a free-for-all. Many wealthy companies, many companies were built on top of that open source, Red Hat being the first billion-dollar company built on top of the open source platform. But Linux and the Linux Foundation represented an altruistic intervention that helped to correct the broken path that the industry was heading down. So I believe that the same is needed now. And the Kwai mission is to democratize AI on 3 fronts: on tools, fundamentals, and policy. We talked a bit about the tools, about the co-pilots and the digital twins, the personal assistants. It's our contention that you need to own your own co-pilot. Don't give up the pilot seat. And the output, the open source output of Kwai will be creating those tools that allow you to train your own co-pilot and own it and operate it, maybe even run it on your own mobile device. So that's a practical output. We also think, as I mentioned in that timeline, that the AI fundamentals could do with an overhaul, and we have a separate track of innovation in the area of the neural network components, of more advanced perceptrons, of concurrent training and inference, and in reasoning and causal networks. Those are the 2 technical tracks. There's also a policy track. So Kwai is a technical think tank and a policy think tank. We believe that policy needs to go hand in glove with the technical advances. On the policy track, we will draft the language that goes into employment agreements that anticipate AI and really delineate who owns the co-pilot and what parts and how much is owned by employer, how much is owned by employee. It's a brand new area, and it requires some thinking and some drafting of terms and conditions. The GPL is well known in the open source industry, but we believe a GPL is needed for training data as well. And then nutrition facts. Most of the products in the food chain, in the food supply in many advanced countries have nutrition facts on there. We believe AI models should have the same. It should tell you what the scope of training data was so that you don't use it outside of that scope. It should have performance facts in there. It should have bias quantified in the label. And maybe these nutrition facts labels are certified by some independent non-profit organization, industry organization. I urge you all to go and visit Kwai.ai. The link's available. We're looking for volunteers. If you can volunteer 8 hours a month, that'd be fantastic. Then, and that's not a lot. 8 hours a month. That's attending a 1 weekly call. That's maybe a quarterly summit. Maybe the annual summit's 2 days long. Average is 8 hours a month. If you can devote that, then you can become a volunteer. If you just want to be an observer, feel free to come and visit our public meetings on Fridays, 10 o'clock US West Coast time. Look, the links are there, the QR code. You can go and visit that. And we are forming an advisory board, and you can learn more about it at Kwai.ai. I'm coming close to my allotted time, but so the message that I've delivered here might be a bit subversive and a bit irreverent, but I'm just the messenger, so don't shoot me. I want to thank you all. Maybe open it up for some question time. I know we've got 15-20 minutes left. I'm going to pause there. Maybe I'm going to stop the share and see where we go from here.
Thank you so much, Reza, for that amazing and detailed presentation. I am sure I'm sure the webinar, the presentation was very informative and fruitful to each and every one of you. We are open for a Q&A session now. Please feel free to use the chat box below to ask the question. Let's give a couple of minutes for the question to pop in.
And maybe you can help me as the questions arrive, if you can.
Sure.
Wow, that chat box is full of stuff. Well, there's a lot of value in this chat box. I wonder if it's if we'll have a copy of that in addition to the recording. Okay. But I'm seeing a lot of questions here. That great. Okay, so there's a ton of questions coming through. So maybe Leki, maybe you can choose the questions and I can answer them quickly.
Sure, Reza. I have one from Naveen. He asked, which AI tool will help for DevOps?
I don't know. There are a number of co-pilots. Look, we're moving to an era of infrastructure as code. So the notion of DevOps being a separate job to software engineering is maybe an old-fashioned concept. So I would turn that back at you. If you believe you're a DevOps person, you should broaden your horizon. I think that's way too specialized, and it's likely to be one of those parts of software engineering that is vulnerable. So yeah, that's my answer. Let's take a few more.
I hope that answers the question. Let's wait for a couple of more minutes.
I see so many. Okay.
Yes,
What is the future of data governance in generative AI? That is a fantastic question, and I think we need to watch the Getty Images lawsuit.
So the generative AI developers that create the sort of image version of generative AI, they say, look, we've not stolen your images, we've just gained inspiration from them. And then Getty Images says, great, okay. So why is it when we use it, the Getty Images watermark comes out in the output image? So you've not just gained inspiration, no, you've got our pixels in there. And so there's a question about the training data, and did the creators of the large language models actually have the license to use that training data? So this is where we come to the question of a GPL. A GPL is actually needed for training data, where someone can post some data and say, I'm allowing you to extract embeddings from it, but you can't actually have the actual data. This is important. I'm going to dwell on this a second more. This is important. Imagine if you're a hospital and you've got a huge repository of patient data with hospital notes and so on. You have a duty of trust to the patients to keep that private. But you're itching to, you know that there's value in there to allow an AI model to train from it. So we have to come up with mechanisms by which we can train on the data without divulging the data and violating that duty of trust and revealing personally identifiable information. Very important question. Thanks so much for that one.
Thank you so much, Reza, again for that detailed answer. We have a lot of questions popping in. I have one from Manoj. He asked, have come across this term called ethical AI. Wants to get your perspective on how we define this.
Yeah. So look, come to the Kwai weekly meetings, come and volunteer. We're all about ethical AI. It's a conversation that's going on in the industry. When I was at Real Networks, it was at the core of what we did. For instance, we created a face recognition solution, but we were very adamant we weren't going to look at a person's face and try and make any classification on them based on ethnicity. I'm super sensitive about that, and I'm hyper vigilant about classification of humanity. I was born in Cape Town in South Africa at the height of apartheid, where we were classified by our skin color, and that determined the level of citizenship we could have. I couldn't vote. There were places, schools I couldn't go to. So grew up in London, as you can tell from my accent, another place where my identity was very challenged. Came to live and work in America 30 years ago. Identity is a sensitive subject. Many people are proud of their identities, but it's great for you to be able to express your own identity, but for a machine to look at you, or an institution to look at you and classify you and then make some stereotypical assumptions based on that, that is deeply offensive. And so when we dabble in ethical AI, we need to think of those things. We want our machines to be objective and not have the sort of biases and foibles of human beings, of prejudices and those stereotypical assumptions. Unfortunately, much of AI is actually built on those stereotypical assumptions and reinforce them and reinforce historical biases that are latent in the data. Okay, so I'm getting a bit preachy there. Lekki, move me on to the next question.
Sure, thank you so much. What does the jobs in IT industry looks like to you by the year 2023?
Well, we're in 2023 now. It looks
2024 maybe.
Okay, so look, I would not cling on to a job in particular and say that and bank on that being the thing you do for the rest of your life. We're in a state now, the title has the word revolutionary in there. There is a revolution going on, and we might not know it. this is not the conditions for revolution are certainly brewing, and the disruption of the very nature of employment is one of those things that could cause catastrophic changes in society. My message to you is, yes, you've got a job. It's going to get you employment for a while, but all the time you need to be thinking about what is the essential value I bring as a human, and double down on that value. Don't try and outcompete the machine. Okay, Lecky, next one. There's so many questions, and they're good questions, and I want to be able to answer them all. But you know, we are.
Yes, we will try to answer most of the questions. Do stay in touch through our social media platforms, and do not forget to join our LinkedIn groups as well. I have one. Too many tools are coming up nowadays. How do you know that they are? How do you know that they do not take your personal data?
Oh, well, you don't. You have to read the terms and conditions. In fact, many of them do take your personal data, and you probably signed that away in those click-through terms and conditions. I'd say be very careful. I think that's one of the important points that of risk that we face as consumers of generative AI, of large language models, and so I don't know. As an old person, I maybe am more sensitive to it. Youngsters seem to not care, you know, that Netflix or whatever has their personal information and their preferences, because hey, they're going to deliver me more of what I want, and they don't mind that their conversation is being eavesdropped by their mobile phone, and then lo and behold, they get served an ad for what they were talking about later on. That doesn't seem to affect a younger generation. I think we're maybe being a bit too complacent on that. Look, if you want to learn more, find me on LinkedIn. I'm available there. Preferably, I'd want you to go to kwai.ai, join up. There's a join button form, and you'll get added to an invite list to come to our public meetings. If you want to volunteer, that'll be fantastic.
All right, great. Before we take the next question, I would like to inform each and every one of you to stay with us till the end of the session. We will be conducting a gamification round after the Q&A session is over, so stay with us till the end. The next question would be, what can we do to prevent job loss due to AI deployment?
Right. So this is what I was talking about, an altruistic intervention. The industry needs the Linux of AI that'll make these tools available to everyone. So Kwai is that altruistic intervention. It is a volunteer-based developer community. It's a technical think tank and a policy think tank. It aims to democratize AI by making the tools available to more people. Consumers will be able to use the tools free for non-commercial use. If you want it for commercial use, that you can seek a license. Corporations will also join Kwai for a fee, and that gets them a seat at the table, because we're going to need to be able to fund the lab, the technical resources. No payroll though, so don't come and join Kwai if you're looking for wealth. There's fame and glory for everyone, but this isn't your normal startup that's offering you stock options and so on. No, this you will join Kwai if you feel that AI is going along a dangerous path. Let's see, you're an AI developer, or you're just concerned about it and you want to contribute. Keep your job, keep your day job, but volunteer your spare hours to this important mission, and we can hopefully make this altruistic intervention. Now, it's not just going to be a few dozen people. This will have to be thousands of people. This has to be a global network. And I'm so grateful for the Global Skill Development Council for giving me the opportunity in this keynote to be able to get this message out. And I'm looking forward to the volunteers that come from this keynote.
All right, thank you so much again. We will be taking the last question for the night. How generative artificial intelligence will continue to improve on shaping the global technology and innovative advancement in the future?
Great question. Okay, so I don't think our current frameworks are the end of the story. In fact, I think deep neural networks and the current frameworks we have for AI are pretty poor. Networks are slow to converge. They need lots and lots of data, and they have an awful carbon footprint. We can do better. The human brain does better. The human brain can learn and think concurrently. We mentioned that. Does it in this 2-pound biological computer we all carry with us. We can use that as an example. We employ reasoning, not merely correlation and pattern matching, which is what deep neural networks do. So how will it evolve? Well, come to Kwai, we have a track on fundamentals, AI fundamentals, exploring alternate perceptrons, exploring reasoning networks and causal networks. So the hope is we end up with AI that can learn and think concurrently and AI that can reason. And we want those tools to be developed inside a nonprofit in an open source environment so that it can be available to everyone. And that's the way in which we democratize AI.
Thank you so much, Reza. With that, we have come to an end of our question and answer session. Now we will be moving ahead with the gamification round. Before that, Reza, do you have any final words or anything you would like to add?
Thank you so much for joining. Look forward to seeing you at our public meetings on Fridays. If you can't join there, if you want to join up, if you want to create a chapter of Kwai in your own region, reach out to us. That would also be a wonderful way of getting the message, of spreading the message. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Reza, once again for that detailed and amazing presentation. I'm sure the presentation was very fruitful. Now, moving ahead with the gamification round, I would like to invite Setulu. She is one of the regional manager with GSDC to explain you the rules and regulation for the gamification round.
Yes, thank you, Lucky, for the time. And hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session. And thank you once again, Reza, for that amazing presentation. It has been such an insightful time, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. We will keep in touch with you. If you like, you can also join our gamification session with us.
I'm going to leave now. Thank you very much. Thanks all for you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll see you again. Thank you so much. So yeah, coming back to our gamification session here, my colleague Lekki has already introduced me. My name is Setulu, and I'll be hosting this session. So we already know gamification is a very trending concept right now. This platform we are introducing in all our events, and we are so thankful to our partner Novel Vista for giving us this platform for our events. So what we will do is my colleague will share the link to the gamification where you can go to the dashboard. So into your life, you can kindly share the link on the chat box. Lekki, if you can go to the next slide here. Yes. So once you click on the link, you will see the page where you can sign up for the gamification session. You can click on sign up. And on the next slide, please. Okay, on the next slide, you can sign up for the gamification session. You can input your details, and the session ID would be 1227. That is 1227. We are shortly sharing the link on the chat box. Please have a look. You can click on the link, and once you open the link, you will see the sign up option. Go to the sign up option and enter your details. And the session ID is 1227. You can enter the session ID to enter your dashboard. Yes, yes, the link is just coming up here. Yes, so the link is on the chat box. Please click on the link and you will get the access to the dashboard here. Licky, can you go on the next slide, please? Yes, so for today, we will be playing the game Spin the Wheel. If you had joined our last session, I believe most of the people knew that about this game. We had played this game earlier, and we are so glad to introduce this again. While everyone is registering for the game, Spin the Wheel, I would like to quickly go through the process of this game. So I hope everyone has found the link. Please click on the link and sign up. Here, I would just love to share my screen where you can see the dashboard. We will be playing the game called Spin the Wheel, where you will see a wheel on your screen and you will be able to play the game. So, all right. I hope everyone is able to go on the dashboard. Please let us know on the chat box if you are having any issue. So you can see on my screen here that all the participants are joining in. Please let us know if you have any issue joining in the login. All right, Intiranla, could you kindly share the link again on the chat box? If you are having difficulties joining the link, you can close your browser again and retry with the same link again. We can see here many people are joining in. So spin the wheel. How we will be playing this game is when you enter the game, you will see a wheel which will have numbers on each sides of the wheel. Okay, you do not need to change the password. You can just close that page since we will just be playing the game for right now. So you do not need to change any password. You will see the game spin the wheel, and once I start the quiz, you will be on the game dashboard. All right, so for the game, you will see the wheel where you will have different numbers listed here. All the numbers represents the points that you will be getting for any questions that you answer correctly. If you answer any question wrong, then you will get 0 points. So you get only one chance for the points, and you have to make sure that you answer it correctly. We will be giving, let's say, we will be giving 2 minutes for the quiz. So within 2 minutes, we will stop the quiz, and so you have to manage your time accordingly. There will be 10 questions there, and accordingly, whichever questions you answer correct, that point you will get. All right. We have a lot of participants here already. If we'll just wait 1 more minute for registrations. If you are having issues joining in, then my apologies. You can try again tomorrow as well. You can use any email for the details. All right, we will wait for a few seconds for the registrants to join. Please try the sign up option instead of the login. Just click on sign up and then put on your details and session ID, that is 1227. Try the sign up option instead of the login and input your details and the session ID 1227. We will start shortly here. Yes. So you have 2 minutes for the question, and every question holds a point. So please be sure to answer correctly. If you are having any issue joining, then my apologies. We will be having the session again tomorrow. You can try again tomorrow, and you can reach out to us on LinkedIn as well for the problems that you face. All right, so we won't wait any longer. We will start this session now. I hope everyone is ready. You have 2 minutes to answer this question. 2 minutes for the whole game. So in our time tracker will be letting me know that time, and I'll inform you about it. So we're starting the quiz here. So you can click on the spin the wheel button. So we have 2 minutes to begin for this whole quiz. Please click on spin the wheel if you haven't started yet. Do join quickly and start playing. We already have people making points here, 7 points as highest. If you are not seeing the start, you can click on the game itself, which is saying spin the wheel. So once you click there, you will be joined. All right, we have gamers playing here. 10 is the highest point. 17 is the highest point right now. If we will be selecting three winners for this session, and all the three winners will receive the vouchers from our side, from GSDC. We have a minute left to this game. There's just 1 minute left to this game. Do make your choices carefully and quickly as well. We will show all the winners on the dashboard once the quiz is over, and we will be very transparent with the winner, the points as well, so you can see it at the end. All right, if there are some people I see that are facing some issues joining the game, apologies for that. You can leave your issues, whatever errors you are facing, on our LinkedIn, connect with us, and we will try to solve it. And tomorrow we'll have another session there after the panel discussion. All right, we have 10 seconds to go, so I will count down for this. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that is the end of the quiz, and here you can see the winners of today's session. So first winner we have Shazur with 43 points, Mahesh with 34 points second, and third Saurabh with 30 points. So very big congratulations to all of you. Thank you so much for playing. Please leave your email to us on the chat box, or you can also directly reach out to us on LinkedIn with your emails, and we will connect with you with the prices that we have. For all the rest of the players, you can see your points on the dashboard here. You can also see on your own dashboard as well, so you can see how much you have scored against the winners of today. This is great. Thank you so much, everyone, for playing this game. We will be playing another session. There will be a different game for tomorrow, so do join the session tomorrow for that other game, and you will get the opportunity to win prizes from GSDC itself. All right. I hope everyone enjoyed the session. I hope. Can I request our winners to switch on your camera so that we have you on the screen and we can celebrate you as well? Shazur, Mahesh, and Saurabh. All right. Do I see our winners on the board? Shazur, Mahesh, and Saurabh. If you can kindly switch on your cameras for us, we would love to congratulate you. And maybe we can hear a few words from our winners as well on the takeaway with this gamification. All right, I'll just stop sharing here so that we can see your faces. Um, Great. We can see Shazur and Saurabh as well. Uh, Maybe I can ask Saurabh to share about your takeaway on this gamification session. Hi, Saurabh. Would you like to share your experience? Yeah. Sorry, we are not able to hear you. Okay. So sorry, Saurabh. We're not able to hear your audio. Shazur, would you like to leave some few points? Okay. Okay, no problem. We will connect with you on online, so no problem. However, thank you so much again for playing the game with us. Um, we will be playing this. We will be playing this game, having this gamification session again tomorrow. However, it will be a different game, so please do join us again. As I leave here, Lekhi, I would like to hand over the virtual mic to you again. You can continue with the closing of the session. Thank you so much again, everyone, for joining the session and for playing this gamification session.
Thank you so much, Setelo, for that amazing gamification round. And I would like to congratulate each and every winners. Do get in touch with us to claim your prizes. Now, moving forward, I would like to quickly let you know about tomorrow's session. We have a panel discussion, as already informed earlier. We have a panel discussion happening tomorrow. Same time, please feel free to use the same link which everyone has used to join today's session. Tomorrow will be a panel discussion happening with along with 4 of our amazing panelists. So do not forget to join the tomorrow session. And moving forward, we also have some exciting events coming up next month as well. So I would like to request each and every one of you to stay tuned with us. We have a Global FinOps Bootcamp 2023 happening on the 21st and the 22nd of September. Also, do not forget to follow us on LinkedIn. You could also use the QR code given displayed on the screen to follow us on our social media platforms. Also, do not forget to join our exclusive community LinkedIn groups to for knowledge sharing experiences. And we would also love to hear everyone's key outcomes. So please do not forget to use Trustpilot and use your key, drop your key takeaway from today's session. Also, do not forget to visit our website to know more details about our organization. That would be it for tonight. Thank you so much again, each and every one of you, for joining the session. I'm sure the session was very informative and fruitful for each and every one of you. Thank you so much. We will hopefully see you tomorrow for tomorrow's panel discussion. Thank you so much. Have a great night.